All right, today we're going to talk about something that might just change the way you write, build, and even think about code. We're looking at Eclipse Che and this huge idea of putting your entire dev environment up in the cloud. So let's dive right in.
Okay, if you've ever written a line of code, you know this feeling. You've heard it, you've probably said it a million times. Well, it works on my machine, right? It's that classic soul-crushing phrase that just means hours of debugging are ahead. And honestly, it's a sign of a way bigger issue.
And that issue, it almost always kicks off with what I call the new project ritual. You know the drill. You spend hours, maybe even days, just trying to get a new project to run on your laptop. You're wrestling with 20 different dependencies, trying to get a local database configured, and then you're debugging why your setup is slightly different from your coworkers. All of this, and you haven't even written one line of actual code yet. It's exhausting.
But what if you could just skip all of that? Seriously, what if your whole dev workspace, we're talking the code, all the tools, the runtimes, everything, was just defined in a single file? A file that you could access instantly, from anywhere, just by opening your browser. Sounds pretty good, right?
Well, that's exactly the promise behind Eclipse Che. At its core, it's an open-source developer workspace server. Basically, it's a system that creates and manages these development environments for you. It uses powerful tools like Kubernetes under the hood to give you a full-blown IDE right there in your browser.
Okay, so how does all this magic actually work? Let's pull back the curtain a little bit and see what's really going on inside a Che workspace.
So the whole thing is managed by the central workspace server. You can kind of think of it like an air traffic controller, but for your dev environments. It's the brains of the operation. It handles all the complicated stuff, orchestrating and using APIs to build, run, and manage everything you need to get coding.
And when we say a workspace in Che, we're not just talking about your code. It's the whole package. First, you've got your projects. That's your actual application code. Then you have your environments, which spell out all the tools and runtimes you need. And all of this gets run inside of what Che calls machines, which are really just lightweight Docker containers. This is what makes the whole setup perfectly reproducible every single time. And here's the real kicker. You don't need to install anything on your laptop. Nothing, except a web browser, of course. When you're ready to work, the workspace server just spins up everything you need on demand, all those containers and tools, and you just log in. And when you're finished for the day, it can all just be torn down automatically. It's pretty incredible.
Now this kind of architecture gives developers some serious superpowers. Let's talk about how this completely changes the day-to-day workflow, taking it from, super frustrating to amazingly fast.
So, you can really see the massive shift here. That slow manual setup process, it's now on demand and totally automated. Those inconsistent environments that cause so many headaches, they become perfectly repeatable and portable. And working all by yourself in isolation? Nope. This is natively collaborative, where your whole team can jump in.
The secret sauce that makes all this portability possible is something called the Devfile, and it's actually pretty simple. It's just a text file that lives right alongside your code in Git. But this file defines everything your workspace needs. And this isn't some niche one-off idea. We're talking about a cloud-native computing foundation project, a CNCF project, with big names like Red Hat, AWS, and JetBrains behind it. That little file is the absolute key to making sure every single developer has the exact same setup.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds cool, but I really, really love my editor. And that's the beautiful part. Eclipse Che isn't trying to make you switch IDEs. It's actually built to run the editors you already know and love. We're talking VS Code, the entire JetBrains suite of IDEs, right there in your browser, all hooked up to your cloud workspace.
And the support for different languages and frameworks, it's just huge. It doesn't matter if you're a Java developer, a Python data scientist, a front-end dev working in React, or even if you're building cloud-native stuff with Kubernetes. Che is designed to handle all of it. Honestly, this list here barely scratches the surface.
So a tool this powerful and this ambitious, well, it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere, right? It's actually the result of years and years of open source work, and it's built on a really strong foundation.
Believe it or not, the core idea for this kind of cloud-based IDE goes all the way back to 2009. It took a while to bake, but in 2014, it was officially announced as Eclipse Che. The first major release hit in 2016, and today, it's a top-level project at the Eclipse Foundation. And that tells you a lot about how mature and stable this thing really is.
And this isn't just some small passion project either. It has some serious weight behind it from the biggest players in tech.
I mean, you've got companies like Red Hat, IBM, Microsoft, SAP. They're all major contributors. And that's on top of a really active global open source community. Having an ecosystem like that is what keeps the project strong and constantly moving forward.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Is this just a cool niche tool for certain teams? Or are we looking at something bigger, a fundamental shift in how we all build software?
You know, the project's own website says it best, and I love this quote. Spend your time coding, not configuring your laptop. That's it. That's the whole point. The ultimate goal here is to just get rid of all that friction so developers can focus on what they're actually good at, solving problems and writing amazing code.
And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about, doesn't it? As our apps get more and more complex, more cloud native, does it even make sense anymore to try and copy all that complexity onto every single developer's laptop? Or is the future of coding actually inside a browser, a totally cloud-based, collaborative experience that you can get to from anywhere? It's definitely something worth thinking about.